Hello, and welcome to Gameplaycast's review for Disney Star Wars The Acolyte. In this video, we're going to review the first two episodes of the show produced by Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant, Leslie Headland. And if you haven't guessed it already, I'm not really expecting great things from this. I mean, full disclosure, I checked out Star Wars at The Last Jedi, and I've never felt the need to go back. I did enjoy Mando Season 1 and 2, but as soon as Grogu came back, I was gone. So that said, let's get on with the show. Oh, and fair warning, from this point forward, there will be spoilers. So what we have here is a kind of murder mystery revenge story, centred around two twins separated by an as yet unspecified fire-based disaster in which the Jedi saved one sister and presumed the other dead. 12 years later, the abandoned sister has a vendetta against the four Jedi who failed to save her/left her. We're not really sure of her full motivations, but there is some kind of evil Dark Master revealed at the end of episode 1, so I guess that will come in future episodes. Episode 1 kicks off with the new Jedi Fu fighting we have seen in the trailers, but not before our would-be assassin basically challenges a Jedi Master to a fight. I say would-be because to my mind, an assassin would simply try to attack and kill their target, not run up to them and say, "Attack me with all your strength."
Attack me with all your strength.
This just stuck out to me as a strange piece of dialogue, particularly since she seems to know that the Jedi will in general not attack first, so why say it at all? She then girl bosses all the people, and by people I mean much larger, stronger men around the table, finishing off by kicking a table that would easily weigh more than her several meters across the room. Maybe she's using the Force, but it doesn't really look like it. Anyway, she moves on to the Jedi Fu with Trinity from The Matrix. And that is kind of all I can see when they do this. It's basically like a sterile version of the fights in The Matrix. So no cool slow motion, camera effects, or badass bits outside of a few Force pushes. It all looks to be slow time fight choreography that they've sped up to make it look good. Is it terrible? Honestly, it's not the worst, but like I say, particularly since we have Carrie-Anne Moss in the scene, it just reminds me of the first Matrix film, and it's not a patch on the fighting in that. Anyway, Trinity doesn't last long as she gets distracted saving a barman and takes a throwing dagger to the chest. I guess this is supposed to hit her in the heart and kill her. For me, this is a pretty lame way to kill a Jedi Master, especially when in the Disney universe we have people being skewered by lightsabers and surviving on the regular. If you look closely, the dagger even moves when she's slumped over and it looks too low to actually be in her heart. Equally, I think the layers of thick robes would make deep penetration from a throwing dagger relatively difficult. But whatever, she's dead. We then jump to the person we know as the good sister working as a space mechanic. We get some iffy dialogue and a fire in space for some bizarre reason. Oh, silly me, laws of physics don't apply in Disney Star Wars. Gotcha. Anyway, she then gets arrested because the Jedi dragged some poor bartender halfway across the galaxy, and he says she's the one who attacked his bar. The Jedi can't sense if she's lying, or don't try, as that would prevent the plot from happening. They don't check the ship's logs, and no one even seems remotely bothered that she can easily prove she wasn't at the bar killing a Jedi Master. So instead of being brought straight back to the Jedi Council, with the Jedi who specifically went to arrest her in their own ship, she gets put on a magic prison transport that must have teleported in off screen. And off she goes to prison or Coruscant or I don't really know, with no further questioning or trial or due process. I guess that is how justice in America is done these days, so it makes sense. Again, if they genuinely think she's killed a Jedi Master, surely the Jedi would have accompanied her back, but then half the episode couldn't happen, right? Meanwhile, back at the Jedi Council, we get Master Squid Games doing the scene from the trailer. Leslie Headland's wife comes in doing that thing we all do, going through the automatic doors in Tesco. The green paint makeup looks terrible and does not at all give the impression of real skin. It looks like a woman covered in green face paint, which is exactly what it is. We get some politicking and background that Master Squid Games used to be the Good Sister's master before she left the Order. Jump back to the ship, and the prisoners magically turn the droids flying the ship off, and the ship comes out of hyperspace in an asteroid field. Which, from the original Star Wars, I believe is impossible, as if you hyperspace through an asteroid field, the asteroids are still there, so you would just hit them at super fast velocity and destroy your ship. Han Solo says that in the first movie, and that's why the jump calculations and coordinates are so important. Disney Star Wars, dude. Yeah, okay. Anyway, the asteroids wreck the ship, and she gets left by the other prisoners, and straps in hoping the ship will magically orientate for a perfect re-entry and crash landing. Well, lucky us, of course that happens. The Jedi know the prison transport has crashed. Why she wasn't just taken back to Coruscant on the Jedi ship is still beyond me. Master Squid Games and his female alien cosplay apprentice head off along with Yord, the guy who originally arrested her. We get this bizarre scene where Yord has no shirt on and is steaming his robes out before the mission or something. Anyway, he's now been demoted as a Padawan spends the rest of this and the following episode telling him what to do, even though he's supposed to be a Jedi Knight. Apparently Padawans don't need to respect full Jedi now, just Masters. Good Sister has now come round from the crash and is having a weird vision about her sister. It's pretty cringe, it's a child actor speaking in childish rhymes and things. I don't know what we're supposed to get out of this, other than her realising her sister is alive, something the Jedi should have considered the moment they had confronted her, and that she thought she died in some kind of fire. Anyway, she comes round just as the Jedi ship flies overhead, and then for no apparent reason, runs off onto the surface of the planet. Now, considering this is an ice planet, she literally has no chance of survival if she leaves the crash site, and even before the crash, she said,
"Yes, I have faith in the Jedi."
So why the f*** does she run away? She runs so we can get this pointless scene where Master Squid Games saves her and off they go back to the Jedi ship. The episode then ends with the bad sister returning to her master, and we get a weird monologue saying you can't beat the Jedi with weapons, but you can beat them by attacking them with an acolyte or something.
If you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you will fail. Steel or laser are no threat to them. But an acolyte.
Maybe this will make sense later on, but right now that just seemed like word salad so they could say acolyte in the series called The Acolyte.
It is your destiny.
Anyway, cue up episode 2. We get some terrible child actor and some ridiculous scene to open a door. Tell me, if she could attach the door opening device to the outside, and it's attached to the droid's head anyway, why did they need to wake the droid up at all? She then infiltrates a Jedi temple, and for the plot's sake, Jedi can no longer sense deception or anything wrong, so she gets all the way to her target in plain sight. Here we get our first white males of the series so far, and not only one, but two at the same time. Woo! Once the incompetent, senseless guard Jedi leaves, or this might be just before he comes in, I can't remember, we get the classic assassin line of,
Attack me with all your strength.
Again. Obviously the Jedi doesn't attack, and instead meditates in a magic force field. She tries stabbing and punching it before eventually giving up and leaving. The intruder report goes back to the council, who send the rescue party on to this location to investigate. As Master Squid Games and Greenface think the bad sister is alive, and having the good sister there might be advantageous or something. A thought that struck me here was that every planet so far outside of Coruscant just looks the same kind of third world neglected, and that the number of Jedi and their outposts seems to be vast. I know this is based on some High Republic stuff, but being Force sensitive and then being found at the right age and trained by the Jedi was a 1 in a million chance, and for me that would put the galactic number of Jedi in maybe the tens of thousands. In this they just seem to be like Republic Federal agents who you can just about find anywhere. They are so commonplace no one even reacts to them. Something else I noticed, weirdly, there's also relatively few old looking Jedi around in any of the scenes too. So you could play Spot the White Male, or also Spot the Old Jedi. Neither seem to exist. At this point, Bad Sister is off using great lines like, "He's impenetrable," to her newly introduced poison brewer, Ezra Miller. Luckily, he just happened to be with her as she needed some poison and a pep talk. This might be a bad time to point out that Jedi are all but impossible to poison, as they can literally control their metabolism, and I think in some cases even use the Force to metabolize the poison and keep them alive. It's Disney Star Wars, mate. Sorry, I keep forgetting. The rescue team arrive at exactly the same time as the bad sister returns to the master she was trying to kill. Maybe I missed this, but how did she get back in the place that was on lockdown/high alert? Anyway, just as the good guys come in, she just asks the white male master to drink the poison, and wouldn't you know it, he does. He waited 16 years just to commit harakiri. I guess he couldn't have bought any poison himself in those years, and he knew a Disney-era lightsaber wouldn't kill him. Seriously, what the fuck? I assume we're going to learn he's done something terrible later in the series, but out of context, this scene is absolutely bizarre. Also, let's talk Disney meta for a second. Is it a coincidence that pretty much the only white male in the series so far kills himself over guilt? Whatever could Disney and Leslie be trying to say here? As the drinker would say, fuck off, Disney. Oh, and I forgot to mention, at some point during this, we were introduced to body positivity Jedi, because, warrior monks lack impulse control and discipline just like us regular mortals. Now we get a stakeout on the apothecary who made the poison, which I didn't realise until now is just massively convenient. What if the guy just brought the poisons with him and set up anywhere else in town? Would they even be able to guess? Anyway, all throughout this, Yord is constantly corrected by the Padawan. Eventually, after some cringy bits, Good Sister and the Jedi set a trap for Bad Sister. This results in some more Jedi foo. Again, it's not the worst fighting, but it is budget Matrix, not Star Wars. Master Squid Games is pretty badass as he disarms her during the fight and uses some Force powers to probe her mind. They then try to apprehend her, and she uses the Force to fire dust into the air and escape down a drain. So she blinded the two Jedi, and the ship sensors simultaneously lose her. This must be some magic Force dust or something. This is especially ironic since Master Squid Games literally said, "Close your eyes can deceive you," ergo hinting at the extrasensory perception that all Jedi have. But for the sake of the plot, that wasn't turned on, they hadn't flicked that switch at this point, and equally infrared obviously doesn't exist in Star Wars. The stuff that you can see through dust with, like what a computer sensor array on a ship would have. Following her escape, her sister finds her and deliberately misses with the stunner, since we need the rest of the series to happen, and to be honest, I'm now willing to guess that both twins are probably evil, and the good sister is probably actually the big bad or something stupid like that. That would make the weird monologue at the end of episode 1 kind of make sense, as she's the acolyte attacking the Jedi. Anyway, Bad Sister then escapes the city somehow with Ezra Miller the Poisoner. Master Squid Games wants to continue the hunt, but corporate wants to bring them in for a board meeting to discuss next steps, strategies, and have some meaningful discussions.
We don't make decisions like this without meaningful discussion, Soul.
Seriously, what the fuck? Apparently none of this includes warning the Wookiee Jedi, who is the next target. We then get a lame scene where some hunters, obviously more white males, come to try and capture Wookiees or something because, men are stupid and the two guys could easily overpower a 7-foot powerhouse on legs that can literally rip people's arms off. What's my overall impressions then? Well, I think it's clear that Disney Star Wars is saved. Not. I think the best way to describe the show is high budget fanfiction. Everything is far too produced and far too clean. It lacks the lived in quality that the original Star Wars and Mando Season 1 had. Like, everyone's uniforms are perfect, the effects on the humanoid aliens just look like makeup, you can see it glistening in the lighting. This is most evident on the two female Padawans. I mean, even the wear and tear on things looks fake, like the set at a convention or something. Also, because it's fanfiction, Jedi powers seem to only work when the plot needs them to, and I think it's clear that the writers wrote scenes that they wanted and then just joined the dots, whether it made sense or not. Case in point, the magical prison ship, her running from the rescuers, Jedi white male just drinking the poison. Throughout there is no mystique to the Jedi, no nuance, no hidden depth. They just act like Republic police. Heck, Master Greenface sounds exactly like a modern day chief of police, talking about politics and next steps. I wasn't really expecting much from this show, but what we got was a murder mystery fanfic in the style of Star Wars, but from someone who's only ever seen Disney Plus Star Wars. The lead actress is not badass or intimidating at any point, and is so generic you could just insert any aspiring actor into the role. Equally, if they didn't wear different clothes, you'd struggle to differentiate their characters. I love Carrie-Anne Moss in the original Matrix, but here she's just a cameo, which is a real shame. I actually don't mind Master Squid Games, aka Lee Jung-jae, and Yord, played by Charlie Bennett. They're about as good as the writing allows them to be, which was surprising since Charlie has been getting roasted to high heaven about constantly saying Anakin blew up the Death Star. Dude, it was Luke. Also, I did rip on the Jedi just for being cops in this show, but some of the ideas could have potentially been good, things like the Jedi getting more into the politics of the Republic and less focused on the greater good and the Force, are kind of interesting, but the execution is lacking even in the tidbits we got in these 2 episodes. The language of Master Greenface epitomises this. It's jarring and far too modern/current day. Let's have a meeting to discuss next steps, and have some meaningful discussions. Literally sounds like some HR bureaucrat. How about, we must be cautious and meditate on the events that have unfolded. Rash action now may accelerate events, and I see much suffering in your future. I suppose if you know nothing about Star Wars and you can turn your brain off completely, you might be mildly entertained here. As it is, I cannot, and while I'm no longer offended by Disney Star Wars, as apathy has long since claimed me, that doesn't mean I can give it a pass. I give these 2 episodes a combined and pretty generous 3 out of 10. That's a point for mildly entertaining fights, the aesthetic looking okay-ish, i.e. not offensively bad enough to lose a point, and half a point each for Lee and Charlie. I could have been brutal, but I'm trying to be open-minded. In any case, I've seen reviews from people who got early access to episodes 3 and 4, and the worst is yet to come. Anyway, that is all you get. And as always, f*** Erebus.
Is there a problem, people?
No problem at all, Mrs. Kennedy.
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!